First off, this was certainly not what I expected when making the first video. Seriously, I expected no more than a few hundred views. Second, I just wanted this video to be a follow-up where I address the issues and possibly do some rewrites rather than just toss characters into hell. Don't worry, I stand by tossing just about the entire cast into hell for what they did. I used the word colorism also when referring to Noah's choice to date Zoey because she's white. That's probably not the right word to use. Colorism tends to be discrimination against those with darker skin within the same racial or ethnic group. The proper term would probably be racial dating preference. And with that out of the way, let's start back at the princess party, where all this comes to a head. It's mentioned that Myron had asked Zoey out to dances previously. Yes, the Steve Urkel referenced Myron, who is so dorky that the main characters are embarrassed by his presence. Given the reactions of people like Maya and Dijonay, their reactions can be read a few ways, and probably not what the cast and crew intended. For starters, jealousy. They don't like Myron because he's written to be the dorkiest dork who has ever dorked. But since Noah Barker is famous, the prick posse simply couldn't handle it and manufactured a reason to hate Zoey. They really pose no objection to Myron and Zoey at the end. Yes, I'm aware Myron says that he's not attracted to Zoey because she's white and that's what the narrative is going for, but given the context of everything else that happened in the episode, that comes off as the girls going, he's uncool, she's unattractive, let them be. The other alternative is that they believe that Myron only likes white girls. Back at the party, Zoey says Myron asked her out 3 times. And given the prick posse made judgment calls on rumors and assumptions, the implication here is that they believe their own assumptions about Myron only liking white girls. If 1, the prick posse only believes Myron to like white girls, and 2, did not comment on Myron and Zoey getting together, then it stands to reason they don't particularly care for Zoey getting together with Myron because he's not famous. So basically, it's like saying Myron can have a racial dating preference because he's a nobody and he's a dorky, worthless guy, and that the prick posse is entitled to Noah. It's less of an issue of race and more of an issue of entitlement. Your poison sits between petty jealousy and petty jealousy, assumptions, and hypocrisy. Geez, the toxicity of this friendship is like the plague, it keeps on giving. Now, let's talk about Noah Barker for a bit. There's a spectrum of why people have racial dating preferences. I would assume that the racial and cultural background allows for a relationship with better understanding. Or it could be based off of ideas about how certain races are more submissive and help satisfy a fetish. Asian women are often stereotyped as submissive dolls, Asian men are often stereotyped as being weak, spineless, and unmasculine. If the show had actually spent time developing the theme rather than doing idiotic princess parties or bullying Zoey, it could be an interesting and nuanced topic. I'm sorry, it's hard to overlook how the prick posse treated Zoey. If you think a friend is in an unhealthy relationship, then pushing her away into that unhealthy relationship is a bad idea. So how would I write this episode? If I were to change as little as possible, Zoey shouldn't apologize at the end. Instead, she would just be calling the prick posse out. When the prick posse apologizes, like in the actual episode, Zoey should tell them that they were never friends to begin with. It's also worth noting that Maya doesn't apologize in this scene at all. The fact that this is worth repeating. If you think a friend is in an unhealthy relationship, then leaving them in that unhealthy relationship through isolation is not a good idea. I would also make note that the prick posse only apologized for what happened at the princess party, not their attempts to socially ostracize her beforehand. Option 2 is a twist ending. Noah is a non-entity. We are told more about him than what we see from him. I would keep much of the episode intact until the ending. Yes, Noah will pick Zoey for completely vapid and selfish reasons. And those vapid and selfish reasons have nothing to do with race, color, or creed. Instead, Noah's vapid reason is that he picked Zoey because she was the most normal. He states in his interview that he wants to go to a Valentine's Day dance with a normal girl. Fangirls wanting locks of his hair aren't normal girls. Zoey was eating and not fangirling. Yes, it's a selfish reason to ask someone out. Frankly, asking a girl out on your first day is inherently vain, but that's beside the point. It makes Noah a bit more sympathetic since he doesn't want to be governed by his fame and fortune. It at least adds layer to his paper-thin characterization. Hey, whatever makes the prick posse look bad, that's a bonus. Then there's the third option, actually developing the theme and giving Noah more of a character. The reason why I didn't throw Noah into hell in the last video is because he's a non-entity. There is no characterization to him except what is filtered through unreliable sources until the end, and even then that's still hearsay and not something he actually did. Like I said earlier, people have many reasons for racial dating preferences. Whether they are valid is a topic the episode should have discussed. I don't know how I would personally go about it, but it would immediately be better than the show since Noah is a character and not a plot device. Maybe Noah's dating preferences were built off the back of stereotypes. Maybe they were built because he's been around so many white fangirls because the majority of his fangirls are white and that he just gravitated towards them. These are all things that could reasonably be discussed if he was the main focus of an episode. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing, and tipping the channel on Ko-fi.